Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos, and we are broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. Today, we are diving deep into the occult rabbit hole. Breaking news, Jay-Z has now been accused along with Puff Daddy. Now, after Puff Daddy was announced that he was being investigated, then arrested, rumors started to circulate about Jay-Z and how he would be next. Well, come to find out, he is now being named in a lawsuit for having sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl against her will alongside Puff Daddy. Well, we're going to go deep down the rabbit hole. We're going to tie Jay-Z into Pizzagate, into the occult, crimes against children, and it's going to take a while to do it. We have a lot to go over. So let's welcome in She Warrior, Wanda from Missouri. Shout out to Missouri. Jerry, good to see you. Kelly O. Mel, how you doing? The Red Queen in the building. Hiawatha, how are you? Julia Burns. Oh, this is going to be good. Jay-Z and Beyonce have some weird shit going on. Not pointing fingers, but they've got some strangeness. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, they do. And we're going to put it on full display today. So we're going to give everybody an opportunity to kind of show up. We're going to talk about the Podesta brothers, Hillary Clinton, Marina Abramovic, the Madeline McCann case. Talk about Aleister Crowley. We're going to talk about Jennifer Lopez, Beyonce, we're going deep. So we'll give everybody maybe another 5 minutes to show up, and then we'll get going. Meanwhile, you guys just chillax a little bit. Hiawatha, I heard that J and B moved to England right after Diddy got arrested. Is that Jay-Z and Beyonce? Yeah, it looks like they're connected to some pretty sick shit here. So we're definitely going to talk about Jay-Z, P. Diddy's charges, Jay-Z's infatuation with the occult, and specifically Aleister Crowley. We're going to talk a little bit about Aleister Crowley and his promotion of ritual crimes against children, specifically sexual crimes. We're going to talk about Jay-Z's connection to Marina Abramovic and how that ties into Pizzagate, Hillary Clinton, Anthony Weiner, Huma Abedin, and how that drags in the Podesta brothers and how they may be tied into the Madeline McCann case. Julie says, let's go. Love how all these people are finally being exposed. They've been hiding behind their fame and money, and it is scary. It is scary. We know where you got that. I never heard of Odinism before, but now that I got a chance to look at it, it is scary. Hiawatha. So many things going on these days, a lot of distractions, to say the least. The whole bunch of adrenochrome junkies. Hey, anybody out there not familiar with that word or that term, adrenochrome? Let me know in the chat. So I think this is how we'll break it down. We'll do an overview of P. Diddy and Jay-Z's charges and the breaking news about that. No charges against Jay-Z. He's just been named in a lawsuit by an anonymous victim. I think as of yesterday, his attorney sued their attorneys for attempting to blackmail Jay-Z. So now they have multiple lawsuits. One against Jay-Z for rape and one by Jay-Z against the attorney who is suing him, claiming blackmail. Welcome in, V. Marie. If you guys are just joining us, we will be getting into the occult. We'll be tying in Pizzagate. We're going down quite the rabbit hole today. And if you do not know what adrenochrome is, let me know in the chat. You know it.
Excellent.
Excellent. What's up, Mel? The sketch in the McCann case was the creep Podesta. Well, it definitely looks like him. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. So, I mean, this rabbit hole's it's pretty deep. We're going to go pretty deep on this one. What's up, Mustang? So we'll hang out about another minute and then we'll get started. Yeah, for those of you who aren't familiar with Pizzagate, it's one of those conspiracies that most likely isn't a conspiracy. But it all started with Anthony Weiner, who was a politician and dating Huma Abedin, who worked for Hillary Clinton. And just before the 2016 presidential election, there was a scandal with Anthony Weiner, who was texting a 15-year-old girl and exposing himself to her. Well, when they did an investigation into Anthony Weiner, they got their hands on his laptop, kind of like the Hunter Biden laptop. Well, in this laptop were a bunch of backups for the emails that belonged to Hillary Clinton. Now, there were some emails in there between Hillary and John Podesta. Well, prior to this scandal, there was what we refer to as the WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks began releasing emails hacked from the account of John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, a month before the election. Give me a second here. There's a little kitty cat at my door. Okay. Social media users on a popular Reddit forum dedicated to Donald J. Trump and 4chan's far-right fringe message board searched the releases for evidence of wrongdoing. So WikiLeaks, somebody hacked into Podesta's emails. He had all kinds of stuff in there. Communications between him and Hillary Clinton, Podesta and Marina Abramovic, who is this person He's teaching all these celebrities about spirit cooking, things like that, inviting them to do some spirit cooking. And that's when the Pizzagate conspiracy was born. Within the emails were discussions that include the word pizza, including dinner plans between Mr. Podesta and his lobbyist brother, Tony Podesta. A participant of 4chan connected the phrase cheese pizza to pedophiles who on chat boards use the initials CP to donate child pornography. Following the use of pizza, theorists focused on the Washington pizza restaurant Comet Ping Pong. The WikiLeaks email revealed that John Podesta corresponded with Comet's owner, James Alefantis, who had connections to the Democratic operatives. The theory started snowballing, taking on the meme at Pizzagate, or hashtag Pizzagate. Fake news articles emerged and were spread on Twitter and Facebook. The false stories swept up neighboring businesses and bands that had played at Comet. Theories about kill rooms, underground tunnels, Satanism, and even cannibalism emerged in fabricated stories and on social media. Now, the fabricated part is up for debate. On December 4th, Edgar M. Welch, a 28-year-old from North Carolina, arrived at Comet with a military-style rifle and a handgun. The police said he fired the rifle inside the pizzeria, hurting no one, and surrendered after finding no evidence to support claims of child slaves being held there. The shooting did not put the theory to rest. Purveyors of the theory and fake news pointed to the mainstream media as conspirators of a cover-up to protect what they said was a crime ring. So we're going to tie P. Diddy, Jay-Z to the Pizzagate group. We'll call them the Pizzagate crew. That's Hillary, Wiener, Podesta, and Abramovic. Yeah, adrenochrome. If you guys don't know what that is, look that up. Good to see you, Mustang, Red Queen. Leah, how you doing? Hope you're having a great day at work. James Cope, what up? Good to see you. Who else am I missing? Sparky, what's up? Oh, yeah, it's going to be dark as fuck. Getting into that Luciferian darkness. Okay, we're going to learn about spirit cooking too. Good to see you, Sparky. All right, I think we are safe to get going here. Let's start here. So I'm going to be all over the place. There's just so much information to go over, so we're going to probably be bouncing back and forth, back and forth.
Shell lawsuit accuses Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs of raping a 13-year-old girl back in the year 2000. Good evening, I'm Joe Torres.
And I'm Tanya Rivero. The alleged rape happened after the 2000 Video Music Awards, which took place at Radio City Music Hall. Tonight, Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, vehemently denies the allegation.
Eyewitness News reporter Sonia Rincon is here with us in the studio. She's got the details on the lawsuit and the reaction. Sonia.
Joe, the disturbing civil case that was filed against Sean Combs back in October was just amended today. A small change with big implications, naming Jay-Z as the person initially identified in the suit as Celebrity A and accusing both men of raping a 13-year-old girl together back in 2000. The suit says they took turns assaulting the minor after the Video Music Awards show that year, and that another celebrity who still hasn't been named watched this happen. But someone who will not be named at all in this case is the accuser, who again was only 13 at the time. ABC News contributor and former prosecutor Richard Frankel tells us other lawsuits have not survived because the accusers have.
All right, let's get into what adrenochrome is real quick. Julie says brain food. Kinda. Okay, so it kind of goes into child sacrifice, child torture, sex crimes against children, and then bleeding them. So what they try to do is terrorize their young victim, and apparently it has to be the younger the better. And that information is kind of plays part or kind of comes from people like Aleister Crowley with black magic and sex magic and things like that. So they basically torture their young victim to the point where the adrenaline is just pumping through their body. And that's why they call it adrenochrome. It's basically a chemical compound produced by the oxidation, sorry, of adrenaline. So once they terrorize their victims to the max, really, we're talking skinning people alive and all kinds of sick shit. Then they drink the blood, and because of the adrenaline that is pumping through the blood, they get this ultimate high from it. And a lot of people believe that that's what the satanic Hollywood folks are into, and that's why there's so many missing children. And that's why they're trying to tie in this Podesta group, John and his brother, into the McCann case. And after you see the police sketch, you're going to see why.
Asked not to have their names be in the case at all, but this is different.
The judge has actually agreed that the victim can remain anonymous and that the case can proceed. So there seems to be a little bit more to this case. And again, as we go forward, there are more allegations, more facts coming out about this case. Of course, the defendants are denying it and strenuously denying it. But that's what a trial is for.
Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, in a statement tonight blasts the attorney who is representing the woman, accusing him of extortion and saying in part, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away." He goes on to say he'll have to explain this all to his children, and that the claims, if not for the seriousness surrounding harm to kids, would be laughable. Now, a representative for Sean Combs also calls attorney Tony Busby's efforts shameless publicity stunts designed to extract payments from celebrities who fear having lies spread about them. His statement goes on to say Mr. Combs never sexually assaulted or trafficked anyone, man, woman, adult, or minor. Now, the accuser, who was a minor at the time, alleges that a limousine driver noticed her that evening and invited her to the party after the awards show, where she claims both men assaulted her. Combs, at the height of his fame, Jay-Z, still at the time, at the beginning of his tremendously successful career. Joe?
All right, Sonia, thank you.
Determined denial from one of the most recognizable names in the world.
NBC News was the first to report that Jay-Z is being accused of raping a 13-year-old girl at a party back in 2000.
Tonight, NBC4's Camilla Rambaldi is in our newsroom with more on the new lawsuit. Camilla.
Jonathan and Kathy, the accuser in this civil lawsuit is only being identified as Jane Doe. The suit was initially filed back in October in New York. Sean Diddy Combs was listed as a defendant. Jay-Z's name was added to the lawsuit that was refiled today.
Bombshell allegations Sunday against Jay-Z. A civil lawsuit is accusing the rapper, whose legal name is Sean Carter, of allegedly raping a 13-year-old at a house party in New York with Sean Diddy Combs after the MTV Video Music Awards in 2000. NBC News was the first to break the story. The lawsuit.
Well, I never heard too much about Jay-Z's involvement in this, but I did know that he was into Aleister Crowley and he's into the occult, and apparently he's a high-ranking Freemason and all this other crazy shit. But one thing I did notice when P. Diddy got arrested, everybody just kept saying that, like, Jay-Z's next, Jay-Z's next. So they knew something that I didn't know. That's for sure.
Was filed by Texas attorney Tony Busby, who also represented socialite Rebecca Grossman, the woman convicted of second-degree murder in a crash that killed 2 boys in Westlake Village. Here's entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas.
So there's no telling what other bombshells and allegations are going to be coming out when it comes to Sean Combs, either against him or naming other celebrities. And I think that, all we can do is continue to stay on the story. And I think that it's not just Busby. There are other attorneys filing these civil complaints. And also keep in mind that New York prosecutors.
Also, Jay-Z's son has recently come out and stated that Jay-Z was dating his son's mother, while she was a minor. Or she was a minor when they began having sex. So that's breaking news as well. Don't know how true it is.
They are still in that grand jury process trying to bring a superseding indictment against Combs. So that could mean more criminal charges.
A statement from Carter Sunday, which also included personal accusations against Busby, reads in part, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? These alleged victims would deserve real justice if that were the case." The statement goes on to say, "My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down."
I think what's significant is that Jay-Z is coming out swinging. He's a private person. He doesn't do interviews often. He doesn't make statements often.
Attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs.
But when he does, he always puts up that pyramid, right? Let's go to Mikey. Looks like we got a new name here. "They rub all the satanic vileness in our faces, and now Jesus Christ is coming for these sick individuals." Indeed.
Was also releasing a statement. It reads in part, "As his legal team has said before, Mr. Combs has full confidence in the facts and the integrity of the judicial process. In court, the truth will prevail that Mr. Combs never sexually assaulted or trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor." Here's entertainment attorney Jonathan Handel on whether this civil lawsuit could become criminal.
And first-degree rape in New York does not have a statute of limitation that you can look back as far as necessary. There's a real possibility and a likelihood that the authorities will investigate a potential criminal case here. And if they're able to develop evidence that seems to them to be sufficient, there is a significant possibility.
We have reached out to Tony Busby, the attorney who filed the suit against Jay-Z. We are waiting to hear back. Sean Diddy Combs' trial for his federal sex trafficking charges is scheduled for early May. In the newsroom, Camilla Abramovic.
Jay-Z now accused of raping a 13-year-old girl in 2000 along with Sean Diddy Combs. Now, this lawsuit was originally filed back in October in the Southern District of New York, listing Diddy as the defendant. But it was just refiled today to include Jay-Z now, whose real name is Sean Carter. Of course, he's the husband of Beyonce. The anonymous accuser alleging the assault occurred after she was driven to an after party following the MTV Video Music Awards. The suit says she was offered a drink that made her feel, quote, woozy, lightheaded, and felt like she needed to lie down. Shortly after, the suit claims Jay-Z and Diddy entered the room where she was resting, eventually sexually assaulting her. And now, just in the last hour, we are hearing from Jay-Z and his team of lawyers. They are denying the claim and say that they are the victims of blackmail, saying, quote, "I will not give you one red penny, and my only heartbreak is for my family." Joining us now to break this all down as it's happening, News Nation Law and Justice contributor, former FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffendorfer. Jennifer, thanks for staying with us on this.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And so we just received a response from the victim's lawyer, really just in the last few minutes. Take a look. This is on social media. A lawyer, Tony Busby, saying Jay-Z has, quote, "tried to bully and harass me and this plaintiff, but his conduct has had the opposite impact." He goes on to say that the allegations speak for themselves and he will let the facts come out in court, not in the media. What do you make of this real-time back and forth that we're seeing between these two parties tonight?
Well, it is interesting, and I think it's because Jay-Z came out so strongly and said, listen, I'm going to go after you. And then he filed a suit quickly on the heels of the other suit against Busby and the accuser. So because of that, you're seeing this taunting sort of back and forth in the media.
Do you believe that we may see Jay-Z face a judge? And if so, when would we see him in court? Any indication there yet?
Well, we're definitely going to see him, I believe, on this suit. There are so many details. You know, they describe a house, a driveway, another woman being there. They discuss about a driver taking her. So she's locked into this story now, and that means there could be additional witnesses to corroborate her story or refute the story.
Yeah, I know you've mentioned the specificity of the details really stand out to you in this filing. Do you find it strange that the filing originally did not include Jay-Z, just Diddy, and now Jay-Z is suddenly added today? I mean, does that make Jay-Z's addition in any way less credible, or is this not in fact so unusual?
It's not unusual when they're still digging up information and facts to prove the allegations that they're trying to make. In addition, remember, this 13-year-old says there's a female there. That has not been disclosed either. That will be very interesting because she could be culpable in this as well.
Yeah, that is interesting. Do you expect we are going to be seeing other celebrity names added and refiled in other lawsuits involving Diddy?
I do. I think this really has a web that wraps around many different people, and I think we're going to see a lot more people named.
Tell me more about the details of any potential blackmail. We do see Jay-Z and his team really coming out swinging, making that allegation. Wouldn't that be a fairly easy allegation to prove? I mean, if in fact Busby reached out trying to blackmail him, wouldn't they have the receipts for that?
Well, what happened was Busby reached out and offered a mediation session, said that his client was amenable to that. I think that is what Jay-Z is sort of extrapolating as being some sort of, extortion or bribery situation. And really, that shouldn't be seen in that light.
Jennifer Coffendorfer, I know we'll be tracking this. Appreciate your time tonight.
Okay, so there's Aleister Crowley and his famous quote, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." Now, he's one of the most famous, prolific Satanist, powerful secret society members. You know, this guy is every Satanist's hero. You know, they all look up to this guy. They try to name their dog after him. They try to live in, if you have enough money, you can live in homes that he owned. Shit like that. They all worshipped him, including Jay-Z. Jay-Z is a big fan of Aleister Crowley, who is a huge promoter of black magic, sex magic, and also apparently finding the secret to eternal life. And if you asked Aleister Crowley what the secret to eternal life is, that is sex crimes against children.
Now, there's another video related to this video, and it's the making of the Run This Town video. And in that video, Jay-Z is wearing a shirt. And on that shirt, there's a slogan. It says, "Do what thou wilt." And that's gotten a lot of bloggers excited.
Yes, that has very deep roots in modern occult culture. The full expression is, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." That was one of the key maxims of the British occultist Aleister Crowley. So when Jay-Z appears in a hoodie with that phrase on it in public, that's exactly what he's referencing.
So who is Aleister Crowley? Let's take a look at this video.
This is Edward Alexander Crowley, also known as Aleister Crowley. He styled himself the wickedest man in the world. He believed himself to be the great beast, and he changed his name to Aleister Crowley so it would add up in both English, Hebrew, and Greek Kabbalah as 666. In 1904, Crowley had a communication with an extraterrestrial being named Iwas. And this being, through his wife, kind of a channeling type operation, brought forth a book that was called the Book of the Law in 1904. And this book declared that the slain and risen God had stepped off the throne and that a new God, the crowned and conquering child, was taking his place. He was a brilliant genius. He could play 8 chess games blindfolded. He was an accomplished poet, mountaineer, painter, writer. He had so many Masonic degrees that you could fill up 5 pages of a book with them. This guy was probably the most highly honored Mason in the world. And he began doing rituals to bring forth this crowned and conquering child. And he began to start what he called the cult of the fascinating child. And in doing this, he uncovered, without knowing it, the royal secret of Masonry. And what happened was, a gentleman came knocking at his door after he published a book. And in this book, it was a book of poetry, and in the book he had made an allusion to something. And this guy, his name was Theodore Royce. He was a German occultist and the head of the OTO, the Ordo Templi Orientis, which stands for the Order of Eastern Templars. There's the Knights Templar again. And this Theodore Royce told Crowley that he had given away the greatest secret in occult history. And Crowley said, "What do you mean? I don't even understand it."
What's up,
so
Boston?
the guy promptly initiated him on the spot
What's
to
up,
the
kid?
ninth degree of the OTO and then explained the secret to him. And you're about to learn what this secret is. The secret is that as a Mason, you are promised immortality. Where do they get their promise of immortality? Simply, the secret that Crowley uncovered, probably through demonic intervention,
Modern day
is the
incel.
secret that this immortality is conveyed through tantric sex magic. And the kind of sex magic that we're talking about here, unfortunately, is a sexual violation of a little child.
You come from generations of ritualism.
Okay, so somebody that Jay-Z is looking up to is telling the world that if you want to live forever, if you want to live for, an eternity, the secret is sex magic against children. That's who Jay-Z looks up to, and now he's being charged with assaulting a child.
Abuse? Yes, my family has an extensive family tree, and they keep track of who's been involved and who hasn't been involved. And it's gone back to like 1700.
And so you were...
Right. I was born into a family that believes in this.
And does everyone else think it's a nice Jewish family? From the outside, you appear to be a nice Jewish girl?
Definitely.
And you all are worshiping the devil inside the home?
Right. There's other Jewish families across the country. It's not just my own family.
Really? Well, when you were brought up in this kind of evilness, did you just think it was normal?
I've blocked out a lot of the memories I had because of my multiple personality disorder. But yes, I mean, it's like if you grow up with something, you think it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought.
So what kinds of things? You don't have to give us the gory details, but what kinds of things went on in the family?
Well, there would be rituals in which babies would be sacrificed, and you would have to,
Whose babies?
There were people who bred babies in their family. No one would know about it. A lot of people were overweight, so you couldn't tell if they were pregnant or not, or they would supposedly go away for a while and then come back.
You witnessed the sacrifice?
Right. When I was very young, I was forced to participate in that, in which I had to sacrifice an infant.
And the purpose of sacrifice is to what? Is to bring you what? What are you sacrificing for?
For power.
Uh-huh. Power. And so, were you ever used? Were you ever used yourself?
I was molested. I was raped several times.
Mm-hmm. And what's your mother doing?
She's
in all of this. What's her role in all of this?
I'm not exactly what her role is. I haven't, recovered all of my memories, but her family was extremely involved.
Mm-hmm.
She brought me to it. Both of my parents brought me to it. And she's an upstanding citizen. Nobody would suspect her.
Were you raised with a sense of right and wrong, Rachel?
Yes. I mean, it's like I had both. I mean, to the outside world, everything we did was proper and right, and then there were the nights that things changed, that things just got turned around. What was wrong was right, and what was right was wrong.
And that's the core of Satanism. That's why they turn the star upside down. That's why they turn the cross upside down, because they want to turn humanity upside down. They want to turn right into wrong.
There's a book that I had just come across called Lilith's Cave, which is a book of Jewish mysticism and supernatural. And there's a lot in that book that relates to what I endured when I was a child.
So this is Marina Abramovic.
This all began after WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange released hundreds of thousands of secret documents detailing a backstabbing Clinton Foundation, but it now appears the real truth Assange was leading us to was hidden between the blurred lines of Hillary Clinton's campaign manager John Podesta's released emails. Fast forward past John Podesta's brother Tony's casual email exchange with thelemic spirit cooking adherent Marina Abramovic. The Rosetta Stone was needed next, a verification that high-level Washington, D.C. predatory pedophiles were using a code to communicate child sex trafficking as casually as ordering a pizza.
I agree, Leah.
Not entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. The what? All the boxes left over from the pizza. All the boxes. Okay. Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about. Yeah. Did Jay reach out yet? Nah, Bob. He ghosting.
Very famous and successful, powerful business people at her events. They literally have food that look like human beings on dinner tables.
He's Italian and Greek, and a very good cook. And I'm sure there's something very nefarious about that risotto recipe. So,
After I started researching the cult, I learned that Satanists believe that they have to reveal who they are in some way, shape, or form. So that is why we see a lot of these occult members in Hollywood constantly flaunting symbolism. We see the pyramid, the Illuminati pyramid a lot. We see the evil one eye constantly. It's always on the cover of magazines.
All right, this is from Slate.com, titled A Moral Panic for the Age of Trump. Pizzagate is the latest in a long line of child sex ring myths. So we're just going to read a quick article by Richard Beck, December 6th, 2016. Over the past 6 weeks, some people have become convinced that Hillary Clinton and other prominent members of the Democratic Party establishment are participating in an international child sex ring. It began in October when a baseless rumor about emails allegedly discovered on Anthony Weiner's laptop made its way through Twitter and 4chan and conspiracy theorist websites. Eventually, self-deputized online investigators began to comb through the emails of Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, which had been published by WikiLeaks. Finding only campaign talk and recipes, the investigators concluded that the innocuous terms used in Podesta's emails were a code. Pizza for girl, ice cream for male prostitute, and so on. Comet Ping Pong, a Washington, D.C. pizzeria that had hosted a Democratic fundraiser, was identified as a headquarters for sex ring activities. The conspiracy theory acquired a name, Pizzagate. On Sunday, a man wielding an assault rifle entered a Comet Ping Pong and opened fire. He said he was there to investigate Pizzagate. 4chan users are confident that the man is part of a false flag operation being carried out by the establishment to discredit their investigation. The Clintons have been accused of almost everything over the course of their 30-plus years in politics, though maybe never something so cartoonishly villainous. But if child sex ring conspiracy theories are new ground for presidential politics, they are not so for the United States. This kind of story has a history of stretching back at least 30 years. Judging from that history, it's a story that won't be stamped out in the near future. The most famous version of this story is the daycare and ritual abuse hysteria of the 1980s, which I described in my book, We Believe the Children, A Moral Panic in the 1980s. During that decade, nearly 100 people, most of them child care workers, were wrongly convicted of committing grotesque sex crimes against children, and many more were falsely accused or charged. In southwest Los Angeles, teachers at the McMartin preschool were thought to have abused over 400 children in secret tunnels underneath the school. Just outside Minneapolis, 24 people were accused of organizing sex abuse parties involving games of hide and seek played outdoors, in the nude, in full daylight. At the Massachusetts trial of a gay teacher's aide who would be wrongly sentenced to several consecutive life terms, the prosecutor told the jury that allowing a gay man to work in a daycare was like putting a chocoholic in a candy store. In a number of these cases, the abuse was said to have been a component of a satanic ritual, complete with robes, candles, forced abortions, and animal sacrifice. It took more than 10 years for the panic to die down and much longer for the victims to be released from prison. Less well remembered are the equally unfounded allegations that emerged in Omaha, Nebraska in 1989, and eventually made both the Washington Times and Tom Brokaw's NBC Nightly News. That story involved a local credit union, a prominent Republican fundraiser, and a famous Omaha orphanage called Boys Town. It implicated some of the state's most prominent political and media figures in a cannibalistic cult. Connections were drawn to the Iran-Contra affair. There were reports of child prostitutes receiving a midnight tour of George H.W. Bush's White House to thank them for their service. A federal grand jury determined that the allegations were a hoax and indicted one of the alleged victims for perjury. Indicted one of the alleged victims for perjury. But then, that's exactly what a conspiracy theorist would expect a federal grand jury assisting in a cover-up to do, isn't it? The story persists online. One reason it's hard to think about conspiracy theories, including obviously absurd ones like Pizzagate, is the fact that some conspiracies are real. Hillary Clinton isn't sexually abusing the children she meets as she travels around the country, but that is exactly what British TV presenter Jimmy Savile did for decades, as he made charity appearances at hospitals, orphanages, and reform schools around the UK, often with the complicity of the staff. Similarly, if the idea of preschool teachers using games as a pretext for widespread abuse in the 1980s seems a priori ludicrous, consider Penn State's defensive coordinator Jerry Sandusky, who for 14 years abused children who attended his charity football camps. For every Church of Satan which did not cover up sexual abuse by its clergy, there is a Catholic Church that did. The only way to tell the difference between conspiracy theories and actual conspiracies is to look at the evidence, to ask, for example, if there's any reason to believe that when John Podesta referred to walnut sauce, he was talking about multiracial orgy rather than a pasta topping from Northwest Italy. But that's all the evidence can tell you. Pointing out the implausibility of the Pizzagators' fever dreams doesn't explain why the theories stick. Moral panics function somewhat like parables. They validate a group's anxieties in a dramatic way. They exonerate the anxious from culpability, and they assign blame. Not all child sex ring conspiracy theories are alike. In the 1980s, the alleged abusers were ordinary people, daycare workers and babysitters who lived in the same communities, and the children they were charged with hurting and the parents who called for their prosecution. The daycare cases were parables of social rot from within, of communities that had allowed a horrible fate to befall their children, which is how many Americans in the 1980s would have characterized the decline of the nuclear family and the entry of middle-class women into the full-time workforce. As the institution that cared for the children of working mothers during the week, daycare became an object of suspicion for people who believed that a woman's proper place was at home with the kids. The satanic abuse story was a reactionary morality play for a reactionary moment in the country's history. Pizzagate is different. It is not about domestic life and local communities, not about victimized children and their too trusting parents. This story is about Hillary Clinton and her allies getting away with something. And it features a child sex ring because organized pedophilia is the worst thing Americans can imagine. No class of criminal aside from a child sex abuser is widely thought to deserve rape while in prison. With its allegations of international sex trafficking and cavalier discussion of vile crimes via comical secret codes, the story depicts Clinton's camp as a depraved, globe-trotting elite, utterly detached from normal life, concerned only with the gratification of its own desires. This kind of anti-elite rage is keeping with Donald Trump's presidential campaign. In fact, the Pizzagate allegations resemble a grotesque version of the Clinton email server controversy, another parable about a person who believed herself to be exempt from the rules the rest of us obey. If Pizzagate's advocates want to see how far this can go, they might follow the precedent of the Obama case and persuade some emotionally vulnerable adolescent to fabricate disturbing stories of sexual abuse aboard Clinton's campaign jet. These allegations will be easily debunked, but that won't stop them from spreading. So long as the country's anti-Washington mood persists, this fever pitch, new versions of Pizzagate may crop up from time to time, now that Donald Trump has announced that didn't mean it about wanting to lock her up, that thinks the Clintons are in fact good people. Maybe he'll be the target of the next one.
No matter what the polls say, we can't let up. We can't get driven down crazy conspiracy rabbit holes.
My father.
Hands up, gold member. It's payback time.
Oh, sure you can kill me.
I think Ivy she just turned 12 in that video.
You're right. I love you,
H-Town. We are so happy to be standing here on this stage as proud country Texas women supporting and celebrating the one and only Vice President Kamala Harris. A woman who's been pushing for what this country really needs right now: unity. It's impossible not to feel the energy in this room, the positivity, the community, the humanity. We are at the precipice of an incredible shift, the brink of history. I'm not here as a celebrity. I'm not here as a politician. I'm here as a mother.
I'm here to collect my millions, bitch.
A mother who cares deeply about the world my children and all of our children live in. A world where we have the freedom to control our bodies. A world where we're not divided. Our past, our present, our future merge to meet us here. Imagine our daughters growing up seeing what's possible with no ceilings, no limitations. Imagine our grandmothers. Imagine what they feel right now. Those who have lived to see this historic day.
Leah,
Even
blah,
those
blah, blah.
who are no longer physically with us. Imagine all of their sacrifice. The sacrifices made so we can witness the strength of a woman. standing in her power, reimagining what leadership is. For all the men and women in this room and watching around the country, we need you. Your voice has power and magnitude. Your vote is one of the most valuable tools, and we need you. Your freedom is your God-given right, your human right. Everybody say Texas. Texas plays a pivotal role to change the course of our future. Texans and Houstonians from 3rd Ward, River Oaks, Sugarland, 5th Ward, Ailey, Memorial, Southwest Side, North Side, all the way down to Mo City. We all have a role to play to make this a reality. We're all part of something much bigger. We must vote. And we need you. It's time to sing a new song. A song that began 248 years ago. The old notes of downfall, discord, despair no longer resonate. Our generations of loved ones before us are whispering a prophecy, a quest, a calling, an anthem. Our moment right now, it's time for America to sing a new song. Our voices sing a chorus of unity. They sing a song of dignity and opportunity. Are y'all ready to add your voice to the new American song? Because I am. So let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. Please give a big, loud Texas welcome to the next President of the United States, Vice President Kamala Harris.
What's up, Dan? Okay, so this is Marina Abramovic, and this is her, basically her spirit cooking, I guess, her recipe. Let me see, I can pull it up here. That way you guys know what she's putting up on the wall. Let me share my screen with you. Okay, Marina Abramovic, Spirit Cooking, 1996. So she's actually using, in this video here, she's actually using pig's blood. And you can see it when she's pouring it out into the bucket, how it's coagulated. Okay, so Spirit Cooking. Mix fresh milk from the breast with fresh milk of the sperm. Drink on earthquake nights. On your knees, clean the floor with your breath. Inhale the dust. Wash your bed sheets in lemon juice. Cover the pillow with sage leaves. With a sharp knife, cut deeply into the middle finger of the left hand. Eat the pain. Facing the wall, eat 9 red hot peppers. The red hot chili peppers. Take uncut 13 leaves of green cabbage with 13,000 grams of jealousy. Steam for a long time in deep iron pot till all water evaporates. Eat it just before attack. Fresh morning urine. Sprinkle over nightmare dreams. What is all that? Remember, that's pig's blood. Okay, some of you are asking for more details about who she is. Marina Abramovic, born November 30th, 1946, is a Serbian conceptual and performance artist. Her work explores body art, endurance art, and relationship between the performer and audience, the limits of the body and the possibilities of the mind. Being active for over 4 decades, Abramovic refers to herself as the grandmother of performance art. She pioneered a new notion of identity by bringing in the participation of observers, focusing on confronting pain, blood, and physical limits of the body. In 2007, she founded the Marina Abramovic Institute, a nonprofit foundation for performance art. Here's something that recently made the news out of Ukraine. Let me share my screen again. Zelensky asked Marina Abramovic to be ambassador for Ukraine. What the fuck? And I read an article about a party that she threw. Apparently she set up a huge table in this huge warehouse. And on the table there was knives, razor blades, needles, guns, machetes, nails, staplers, anything that you can think of. And you were allowed to do whatever you wanted to her. And I believe she had to stand there for, it was a long time, like hours, like 2 or, maybe more than 2 hours. I don't know, at least 2 hours. She had to stand there. It may have even been 8 hours. So she had to stand there, not move. And you could do whatever you wanted to her. And as time went on, people became more violent. It started with people just kind of poking her, touching her naked body. Then it kind of evolved into people hitting her with the stapler, putting staplers into her flesh, poking her with the needle. And then people started to cut her flesh with blades, razor blades and knives. And then people started to kind of hack at her. So it was kind of a really creepy experiment, a human experiment. Yeah, that's Uma Abedin. Dan. see those clumps of blood? That's the coagulated blood of a pig.
He just stand. We let him stand.
Yeah, so they say pig's blood.
I disturb you like this? Absolutely not.
Qualsiasi cosa, al cinema pure, tutto si è...
Guardiamo tutto fuori e alla fine io prego di ultima sangue.
Dimmi, per la mano?
Togli un tasto.
Per te la che sta?
Ah, sì.
Se no non ci veniva,
Marina, da faccio via, stavo strano. Nemoj, ja volim da ti vidim kako je dozira. Sam here. E posso di luce di da ugasiti sve.
Da ugasiti sve.
And that image in the background is very Aleister Crowley-esque. I think he took a photo very similar to that.
Almost finished. I smell it. Don't touch me. No, but this is the smell is strong. It's really this with the sharp knife cut deep into the middle finger of your left hand into the right. So there are 4 objects, 4 statements, split copy and the image. It's really like alchemy. Yeah. But I think it's cooking. And then that's it, Sean. Can I join now? Yes, please. Shower.
Can I do the last one?
Yeah. I arrive. This is my favorite. This is going to be my favorite position. Bye. Oh, wait. This is another one. But with no. Can you take with my watch? Please.
Hiawatha says, I see how you're integrating Channel 2 with this one, but some of your true crime viewers might not be getting it, LOL. Oh, they will when it transitions to the Madeline McCann case. like some kind of a crystal on the wall.
Fired at least one shot into the floor.
Jackson has more on that. Hallie, good morning. Hi there, Tamara. Good morning to you. Police say the suspect, identified as a 28-year-old from North Carolina, tells them he came to this restaurant to investigate so-called Pizzagate, a fake conspiracy theory that made the rounds during the presidential campaign. Fake news, now with real consequences. Armed with an assault rifle, police say Edgar Madison Welch sent terrified customers and employees scrambling on Sunday when he walked into the D.C. restaurant Comet Ping Pong and fired at least one shot into the floor.
People who ran in from Comet Pizza said he had a weapon.
Metropolitan Police Department arrived on the scene and immediately set up a perimeter.
This image, taken by a witness, shows Welch surrounded by police with his hands behind his head.
His demeanor was bizarre in that, you know, if you come into a place to eat, you ask for a host or grab a seat at the bar. Didn't make any eye contact, didn't talk with anybody.
The 28-year-old taken into custody. Police saying he told them he came to the establishment to self-investigate Pizzagate, a fake online conspiracy theory suggesting the local pizzeria was at the center of a child sex slave ring organized by Hillary Clinton and her former campaign manager, John Podesta. In an effort to crack down on fake news, Reddit banned the Pizzagate discussion thread on its site.
You just think, people are very brave behind their keyboard. People are writing all these hateful messages, but you don't actually think that someone's going to do something about it.
Since the fake story went viral, the owner of the DC pizzeria says he's received hundreds of death threats.
What happened today demonstrates that promoting false and reckless conspiracy theories do come with consequences.
Oh yeah, Mikey.
And I hope that those that are involved with fanning these flames will take a moment to contemplate what happened here today and to stop right away.
Police say at this point they don't believe anybody else other than Welch was involved. Tamara?
Then you were born as an artist because you have your DNA. I don't believe that you actually can become artist. You are born as an artist. It's like a breathing. You don't question the breathe. You just breathe. You don't question that you wake up in the morning and you have to create. And this urge to create make you really artist. But then just make you an artist. But then you have this other category. You're just artist. Then you're okay artist. Then you're a good artist. Then you're a great artist. Then you're a very, very good artist. But then is another category that I'm always fascinated. What about wow artist?
Had to throw that one in there. Okay, so we're going to kind of go down the rabbit hole here. So it all starts with Anthony Weiner. So let's take a look at what happened to him. So this is how it all started.
Only 15 years old? Yes, he did.
Her age was no deterrent for Carlos Danger. In an exclusive interview with Inside Edition, this minor says she first sent disgraced Queens Congressman Anthony Weiner a message on Twitter back in January 2016.
So one thing they all have in common is they're all pedophiles.
She was just 15 years old.
I just sent him a nice message, just, hello, I'm a huge fan.
She says she wanted to see if he was up to his old antics during last year's presidential election. Turned out he was.
I knew that it was going downhill and really fast.
She says the messages from the Democrat quickly turned obscene.
I was disgusted. That's part of the reason that I came forward.
At the time, Weiner's wife, Huma Abedin, was helping run Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. The FBI's investigation of Weiner's laptop led to the discovery of a new batch of emails that Clinton had sent to Abedin. That led former FBI Director James Comey to reopen the investigation into Clinton's use of a private email server while Secretary of State, just days before the presidential election.
Inside Edition says it's withholding the girl's name because she's underage, but her father gave permission for her face to be shown. Weiner went on to plead guilty to a charge of transferring obscene material to a minor. In the newsroom, Andrea Grimes, CBS 2 News.
Only 15 years old? Yes, he did.
Her
just those few days before the 2016 election, and you write about it, when then FBI Director Comey decided to reopen an investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails because of...
Let's go to Julia's comment here. Sleuth, when can we expect the tinfoil beanie from your thumbnail to be on your merch page? 100%. I would purchase, not kidding. That would be pretty funny.
Of emails that were found...
It's a DIY.
...on your now former husband's laptop from you. Cast your mind back to then and tell me today what you think and how you think you and your former husband and all the scandal that surrounded him torpedoed her election prospects.
Well, there was a lot going on in 2016, as is now, documented fact. There were so many outside factors that affected how that race ended. Hillary wrote her own book detailing that. But obviously, that moment, 11 days before the election, to receive this shocking news was a trauma that is going to stay with me for the rest of my life. And at that point,
so that's how this all started, was the investigation into Anthony Weiner, the discovery of these emails, and then the Anthony Weiner laptop. And then that prompted conspiracy theorists to go back and look at the WikiLeaks Podesta emails that were hacked. So let's go directly to that here. So in March of 2016, the personal Gmail account of John Podesta, a former White House chief of staff and chair of Hillary Clinton's 2016 U.S. presidential campaign, was compromised in a data breach accomplished via a spear phishing attack. And some of his emails, many of which were work-related, were hacked. Cybersecurity researchers, as well as the United States government, attributed responsibility for the breach to the Russian cyber spying group Fancy Bear, allegedly 2 units of Russian military intelligence agency. Some of or all of the Podesta emails were subsequently obtained by WikiLeaks, which published over 20,000 pages of emails allegedly from Podesta in October and November of 2016. Podesta and the Clinton campaign have declined to authenticate the emails. Cybersecurity expert interviewed by PolitiFact believe the majority of emails and are probably unaltered. So I mean, it's guaranteed that's his stuff, right? Those are his emails. So let's see. So how does this tie in Marina Abramovic? Let's see. This article is titled "John Podesta Invited to Spirit Dinner. Host Known Recipes Demand Breast Milk and Sperm." In quotations, "Dear Tony, I'm so looking forward to the spirit cooking dinner. All my love, Marina Abramovic." This article is by Douglas Ernst of the Washington Times. It was published way back in 2016. Let's catch up on the chat real quick. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know what happened to Weiner. I'm sure he's not doing anything he's supposed to be doing. Mikey Morales says, were the Podestas friends with Maddie McCann's parents? That I don't know, but they were in the area at the time of the crime. So there's a whole conspiracy there. I mean, we could have done a whole live stream on that. the Podesta's connection to the Madeline McCann case. You guys like that tinfoil hat? Yeah, Sparky, this is beyond messed up. We'll get them on the merch shop ASAP. Okay, a new WikiLeaks release of stolen emails belonging to Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, reveal an invitation by his brother to a spirit cooking dinner at the home of artist Marina Abramovic. Spirit cooking with essential aphrodisiac recipes was released by Miss Abramovic in 1996, but the ingredients call for fresh breast milk, fresh sperm milk to be consumed on earthquake nights. New York's Museum of Modern Art called it a cookbook for the evocative instructions for actions or thoughts. Another recipe calls for fresh morning urine. Yuck. Are you in New York City Thursday, July 9th? Marina wants you to come to dinner, Mary. Tony Podesta says in an email forwarded to his brother June 28th, 2015. Dear Tony, I am so looking forward to the spirit cooking dinner at my place. Miss Abramovic says in a June 25 email sent at 2:35 a.m. General Mountain Time. Do you think you will be able to let me know if your brother is joining? All my love, Marina. Miss Abramovic is a well-known artist who has performed since the early 1970s. Her latest memoir, Walk Through Walls, was reviewed by the New York Times November 1st. You will need to be able to withstand a great deal of conversation about clairvoyance and tarot cards and didgeridoos and kundalini life forces and monks and gurus and how the soul can leave the body through the center of the frontal of the head to make it very far in this memoir, the Times wrote. The review goes on to note her fascination with masochism and spirituality, along with her I take off my clothes and cut myself era and the I run into things while naked period. The newspaper also notes for all intents and purposes that Miss Abramovic sees herself as a mystic. Miss Abramovic reports in Walk Through Walls that under the right circumstances, she can foresee world events, the newspaper wrote. I dreamed of an earthquake in Italy. 48 hours later, there was an earthquake in southern Italy. I had a vision of someone shooting the Pope. 48 hours later, someone tried to shoot the Pope, John Paul II. Adding to the aura surrounding Miss Abramovic is an interview with singer Lady Gaga that was uploaded to YouTube May 30th, 2010. The entertainer praises a German performance where Miss Abramovic laid on a table with guns, condoms, sleeping pills, and ropes. There was a sign that said the museum goers could do as they pleased to her and they were not responsible for anything that happened. So that's the party that I told you guys about. Apparently there were guns, condoms, sleeping pills, and ropes. You can do anything you wanted to her. And it got pretty bad towards the end there, from what I hear. There was a sign that said the museum goers could do as they pleased to her, and they were not responsible for anything that happened. The singer said somebody tried to fuck her, and somebody came by and stopped them. They gave her sleeping pills and ripped her shirt open. She was limitless. After news of Miss Abramovic's invitation broke Friday morning on the Drudge Report, the artist told Art News that she was outraged. It was just a normal dinner, she told the website. It was actually just a normal menu, which I call spirit cooking. There was no blood, no anything else. We just call things funny names. That's all. WikiLeaks' latest release comes at an inopportune time for the Clinton campaign, which is reeling from the FBI's announcement that it has renewed an investigation into the Democrats' secret email server. Agents found a treasure trove of documents linked to Miss Clinton's email server while investigating disgraced former Congressman Anthony Weiner's illicit text messages to a teenage girl. His estranged wife, a longtime Clinton aide, Huma Abedin, told staff that she does not know how the files appeared on his laptop. Politico reported October 31st. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has vowed to release roughly 50,000 of Mr. Podesta's stolen emails before the November 8th presidential election. So that's how you get Abramovich tied into all of this. And now she's connected to Jay-Z and he's connected to the occult. And now we're connecting the Podesta, both the Podestas, into this case. So let's take a closer look at Podesta. This was thought it was interesting. This is some of the artwork collected by Podesta, and we'll look at the artist as well. So this was posted by Clandestine. It says here, the connections are not just via email. The Podestas are also very fond of the artwork of Serbian artist Biljana Đurđević, who is affiliated with Serbian satanic witch lady Marina Abramovic, both being alumni from the Serbian Art Academy in Belgrade. So this is the shit that they're into, and it all has to do with children being abused. Give me 1 second here. Okay. So, I mean, look at this shit. This is the stuff that he's into. I mean, it's obvious they're all pedophiles, right? And here are some of the leaked emails that they're referring to. You can make up your own mind. The realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. Like, what? Is it yours? They can send it if you want. I know you're busy, so feel free not to respond if it's not yours or if you don't want it. John Podesta says, it's mine, but not worth worrying about. This is to John and Mary. Hey, John, we know you're a true master of cuisine, and we have appreciated that for years. But walnut sauce for the pasta? Mary, please tell us the straight story. Was the sauce actually very tasty? John responds, it's an amazing Ligurian dish made with crushed walnuts made into a paste. So stop being so California. This is to John. Hello, some young lawyer type friends of mine are hosting an Obama fundraiser at Comet Ping Pong on Thursday night and then watching the debate. Should be about 150 people, and they are raising between $25,000 and $35,000. Would you be willing to stop by around 8 o'clock or so and make a little speech? They and I would be thrilled to have you, of course. I understand if you are not available. Also, I saw that you are reading at Politics and Prose soon. What can we do afterward? Would you like to have a dinner at my place? Big or small? What do you think? Okay, let's go to, let's see, where are we going to go from here? Here's some artwork collected by John Podesta by Kim Noble. Tell me what you guys think about this artwork. This one's titled, Kim Noble is an artist that has done an exhibition at Comic Ping Pong, the children-friendly pizza parlor. This is her art. Pretty sick. I mean, it's right in front of us. There's not really a conspiracy, you know what I mean? It's just right there. Now, because of time, we're going to go right into John and Tony Podesta's, their connection into the Madeline McCann case. So here is one of the most recent sketches released in the case. And remember, John was in the same city that day. This is what was put out by the investigation. Okay, this is a photograph of John Podesta's office for the Hillary campaign. On April 28th, 2016, Time published a feature on John in which the painting was described. And here's a more close-up of that painting. On the wall in his office at Hillary Clinton's Brooklyn headquarters, campaign chairman John Podesta has an oil painting on loan from his lobbyist brother, who is an avid art collector. The image shows two men hunched over a dining room table, bearing knives and forks. On the table lays a man in a suit, who looks vaguely like Podesta. It's better to be the guy with the fork, Podesta quips to his colleagues if they ask about the image, than the guy on the table. So what is he trying to tell us here? What's up, GP? Yeah, earthquake nights. That's what it boils down to, CJK. Welcome in. Abramovic had Lady Gaga butt naked, high in the woods, doing some bizarre ritual. I remember that. She was like in some kind of egg or something. She was doing some weird shit. All right, Sleuth. So far, we've got 7. Oh, for the foil beanie. Consider it done. Okay, here is the artist who painted most of Podesta's collection. She's very strange. Very strange.
These 5 paintings that I produced in this year and the end of the last year, I produced first time in exterior. My previous work was only in interior, and usually it was a laboratory or some sort of corridors or hotel rooms which are fulfilled with wallpapers and this kind of stuff, which is or bathrooms and tiles. And so this time I choose to go out and to produce work that explains exterior, and I choose forest as the first and moor as the second for 2 reasons. They are having this fairy tale story behind. Always, you always connect woods and forests and moors.
So she basically paints victims of murder, mainly victims of child abuse and sex crimes, from the perspective of the predator.
With fairy tales, but then there is this second reason, which is more provocative for me, is the the idea of sinister part of forest and moors, especially moors, because moors do give this plain, flat ground that you can walk on, but then you can see all sorts of stuff from poison ivy, poison all sorts of flowers, to see also snakes and other creatures that lives in moors. Leech, and so I use those things for my paintings as well. And forest I choose because the forest gives this different perspective. When you enter into the forest, you become something else. You are not any longer a human being. Your fears are more occupied, and your eyes are giving false pictures, and so there is a story behind the story. So there is a lot of.
So why does he have the child's underwear coming down like that? You see what I mean? It's all a bunch of pedophiles.
Major breakthrough tonight in the case of little Madeline McCann, plucked from her bed while her parents were having dinner just steps away. Authorities have taken a new look at this high-profile case and tonight announced a new timeline along with computer-generated pictures of a person of interest they have some questions for. ABC's Lama Hassan is at the crime scene with the latest details.
My shoe.
That is your shoe.
By the time the world first met 3-year-old Maddie McCann, she was already missing, taken from her bed in this resort.
We beg you to let Madeline come home.
So everybody's wondering why we have so many unsolved kidnappings, right? What happened to this person? What happened to this child? Well, I think that this could be one of the reasons why, high profile predators.
Please give our little girl back.
For 6 years, it has remained a terrifying mystery. But today, for the first time, there were new images that seemed to offer a glimmer of hope as Scotland Yard announced a new person of interest.
If they know who this person is, please come forward.
New optimism.
I still genuinely believe that there is a possibility that she's alive.
And a massive new effort to finally bring her home. Tonight on Britain's version of America's Most Wanted, a 25-minute reenactment of what police believe happened the night Maddie vanished.
Primarily what we sought to do from the beginning is try and draw everything back to zero, if you like. Try and sort of take everything back to the beginning.
It all began on May 3rd, 2007. Maddie's parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, both doctors, had come to Praia da Luz, Portugal, with Maddie and her twin siblings for a week's holiday with friends.
All right, let's before we finish that video, let's read this short article titled, "Are the Podestas Tied to the Missing Madeline McCann Case?" Looking at the Madeline McCann missing persons poster, looks like a who's who from the Democrat Party. You're probably wondering what in the world I am talking about, right? Well, there is the official Madeline McCann missing persons page. Now let's look at the 1A and 1B pictures along with the Podesta brothers. I mean, that's pretty close. Wow. Looks like we may have found the two people that are referenced 1A and 1B in the Madeline McCann wanted poster. Now, the wanted picture was supposed to be one man, but looks like two different men, and surprisingly just like the Podesta brothers. Now there is one more Democrat that is linked, Anthony Weiner, who is currently being investigated for misconduct with an underage girl. And here's another police sketch. He looks a lot like Pauly Shore. Now, what in the world and how can Madeline McCann, who was taken from her parents' hotel room while they were on vacation in Portugal, have anything to do with Pizzagate? Well, apparently the Podestas were good friends with another convicted pedophile, Clement Freud, who had invited them to stay at his vacation home less than a mile from where Madeline was abducted. Now Scotland Yard has reopened the case, but the world is waiting to hear more. So this creep was in town, not far from where she was abducted. Look at that shit. And if it was him, they're never going to solve that case. Ever.
They put the kids to bed here, then went to eat at the resort's restaurant, almost within eyesight of the apartment, just 150 feet away. From time to time, one of the parents would come check on the kids. At 10 p.m., Kate did come, only to find that window wide open and Madeline gone.
I guess I was looking at Madeline's bed and I couldn't make it out. And then I realised actually she's not in that bed. And I thought, oh, I wonder if she's woken up, gone through to our bed. She wasn't in our bed. And that was the first time where I guess, a panic kicked in.
Maddie's princess blanket and her pink cuddle cat toy.
As far as I know, Sparky, just John,
she was
but I could be
wearing
wrong.
pajamas almost identical to these ones.
What happened during that dinner became crucial to the time frame in this investigation.
We know that at 8, Mr. and Mrs. McCann went down to the tapas area for their dinner. And we know that at around 10 p.m, that was when Mrs. McCann found that Madeline was missing.
Jerry and I would just like to express our sincere gratitude and thanks to everybody, but particularly the local community here who have offered so much support. I couldn't have asked for more. I just want to say thank you. Please continue to pray for Madeline.
For 6 years, Scotland Yard believed Madeline had been taken at 9:15 by this unknown man, as described by a witness. But now police believe they finally found that man who was simply carrying his own daughter. Look at a photo of him compared to the artist's impression.
It is uncannily similar. We're almost certain now that this sighting is not the abductor. But very importantly, what it says is that from 9:15, we're able to allow the clock to continue to move forward.
Forward to 10 p.m. when other witnesses said they'd seen another man coming from the Ocean Club carrying a child.
He was walking down this hill and heading toward the beach, less than half a mile away. So, could this have been Madeline and her abductor?
He was a white man with brown hair, and the child that he had in his arms was described as being about 3 to 4 years of age with blonde hair, possibly wearing pajamas, a description very close to that of Madeline McCann.
Of course, at the time, no one knew all of this, and public outcry was swift against the parents. Even Oprah seemed appalled they had left their kids alone.
And I'm sure you have beaten yourself up many times over that.
I can persecute myself every day about that, and I feel awful that we went there.
With English tabloids beating the drum, Kate and Jerry McCann, who were described by some as aloof and unfeeling.
It was such a relaxing holiday, and it was as good a holiday as we have had with the children up until that point.
Quickly came under suspicion by the Portuguese police.
Kate McCann is expected to be formally declared a suspect over her daughter's disappearance.
Particularly after lab results were misinterpreted by authorities to mean that Maddie's DNA had been found in their car.
They have suggested that blood has been found in a hire car that they hired 25 days after Madeline was taken.
Kate and Jerry McCann were eventually completely exonerated.
We're not the ones that has done something wrong here. It's the person who's gone into that apartment and taken a little girl away from her family.
Neither her parents or any of the members of the group that were with her are either persons of interest or suspects. They are parents who have lost their daughter, and we're doing all that we can to bring resolution for them to find out what has happened to Madeline.
Almost lost in all the hoopla were witnesses who reported having seen the man carrying a child at 10 p.m. and other witnesses who reported a suspicious man or men hanging around outside the door of the apartment. It would also turn out there had been a rash of burglaries happening in that neighborhood around that time. Unfortunately, some experts now agree opportunities were lost in the early hours. No roadblocks were set up to stop cars.
The ferry ports were not closed for approximately 12 hours until after Madeline's disappearance.
The scene of the kidnapping was not preserved so that forensic experts could get pristine samples, and the trail here in Portugal seemed to grow cold.
We need to know what's happened.
That didn't stop the family, who gave this interview to Sky TV, hired investigators, and kept up the effort to keep Maddie's name alive.
Everything we've done during the last 100 days is focused on the belief
that Madeline was alive when she was abducted.
And we're not going to be bullied into going home.
At the end, whatever anyone thinks of our actions, ultimately, and our only focus is trying to find Madeline. And there's an innocent child missing. That's what anyone thinks. That's the key thing. Madeline is missing.
There were possible sightings reported all over the world, in Germany, even in Morocco.
Y ver una niña muy rubia nos llamó muchísimo la atención.
But now Scotland Yard is hoping their new leads and a television programme being broadcast tonight in the UK.
This is Crime Watch.
Will prompt someone to call in.
The EFITs are clear, and I'd ask the public to look very carefully at them. Well, we, in consultation with our Portuguese colleagues, are absolutely committed to finding out what happened to Madeline McCann. And we've been in a unique position over the last 2 years in drawing together 3 strands, Portuguese, UK, and private investigators' material. From that, a vast quantity of material has been analysed, and we have identified 38 persons of interest.
Scotland Yard has a team of 37 men and women working this case, and they say they don't plan to stop.
So we've now processed some 30,000 documents, and some of those documents could have, say, 1 page. Some of them have got hundreds of pages. From that, you'll recall last year that I said we had 195 investigative opportunities.
The parents of Maddie McCann, who have marked the passing years with artists' projections to imagine what their daughter might look like today, take hope from this projection.
I don't think it looks like me.
That's JC Dugard, missing 18 years, who finally escaped from her kidnappers. And this one, Elizabeth Smart, who also was finally found alive.
Today is a wonderful day, and I'm so thrilled to be here.
2 real-life reminders that sometimes a little girl does get to come home again to the room her parents have kept for her all these years. For Nightline, I'm Lama.
All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. So hopefully that'll give you guys something to think about. And if you are part of the replay crew, let me know what you think about today's live stream and the information that was presented. And how Jay-Z is seemingly connected to all of it, really. So I will see you guys again real soon. Shout out to everybody who's been donating to the Cash App, to the Venmo, to the Zelle. All of you members, all of you hardworking mods. Thank you, Julia, for sponsoring today's live stream. I'm going to look into your tinfoil beanie idea. And I should see you guys again early in the morning for another true crime discussion. So I will see you then. Everybody have a great night. It's dinner time for me here. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you guys again real soon. Take care.